Alright, so the Halloween patch is here, and I'm about to break it down for you guys because we got some interesting things that are coming over the next 7 days. Okay, so first and foremost, we have new uniforms coming for Morgan Le Fay and Black Bolt. And as I speculated in my sneak peek video, Morgan Le Fay is going to be costing you 30 Halloween tokens. These tokens can only be acquired by purchasing stuff in the game. However, they will be giving away 10 tokens for free over the next 7 days in a check-in event. Black Bolt's uniform will be 1750 crystals. It will not be on sale. These are seasonal uniforms, which means after this Halloween period, these uniforms will be gone. So you want to make sure that if you plan to use these guys within the next year, that you pick them up within the next week or so. Okay, I believe it's going to be running for 2 weeks, so decide what you want to do. Okay, these events are going to be going until the 4th, from the 18th after the patch upgrade until the 4th of November. This also gives us the timeline for when the next update is going to be coming. So sometime after that, we're going to see the Black Panther update. Okay, anyways, let's take a look at what else is going on. So the uniform options for these guys are going to be on sale. For Black Bolt, we have Loki, Baron Zemo, Cyclops, Marvel Now, that's so old. We got Scarlet Witch, Doctor Strange 2. We also have Iron Fist, the living weapon. We got Spider-Man in here, that's really good. Black Dwarf, really good. Gamora is okay. Hulkbuster's used for Iron Man, and Mr. Sinister, Hellfire Gala. I would say Iron Fist and Baron Zemo is probably the most useless options in here. Everybody else is decent to good. As you can see, Black Bolt is getting tier 4 and Morgan Le Fay is getting tier 3. These are things I speculated about, and Netmarble delivered on that front, because giving Morgan Le Fay a uniform that is only going to be relevant for about a year and leaving her at tier 2 like they did when they initially gave us White Fox, like they did for Baron Zemo, like they did for Black Cat, it just doesn't make sense. Okay, so it's nice to see that they're learning, even though there are things that we still want to see from them. It is nice to see that some of the feedback that we're giving them, they're actually taking them into consideration and implementing changes in the way how they improve characters, release uniforms, and whatnot. So we got a Battle World relay event that's opening up. Some better rewards are coming in. That's pretty good. I'm looking forward to when they eventually overhaul Battle World, because it could be way more than it currently is. So as you can see, there's going to be a check-in event starting on the 19th. It's going to be running until the 28th. And you're going to get 10 of these Halloween tokens. So there's going to be a token shop for the uniform for Morgan Le Fay and other things presumably, and you're gonna get 10 tokens. You're gonna have to buy 20 tokens, so you can just pick up one of the packs that I'm gonna mention at the end of this video. We also have candy bundles, witch hat, and jack-o'-lanterns, which you can pick up via Dimension Mission, Dispatch Missions, and Story. And if you complete the entire collection, you can see right here, you're gonna get Instinct Attack, Instinct Defense, and a premium comic card chest, which is really, really good. Okay, shout out to Netmarble. So even if you are free to play and you cannot get the uniform for Morgan Le Fay and you don't think Black Bolt is going to be someone that you want to invest in, there's something for you. The premium card and the Instinct Attack and defenses is going to be beneficial for everyone. So make sure you actually complete these Halloween events, because once they're gone, they will be gone. I think this is going to be a recurring Halloween event every year, but you don't want to miss out, because after this Halloween event, it's going to be gone until next year if it ever comes back. Okay, so another way in which you can get premium cards in the game is always nice. We also have a Pitch Black Halloween special check-in event stage, and also, as you can see, we have some CTPs that's going to be in the shop for these Halloween tokens. Now then, as you can see right here, the 2 uniforms that's going to be coming in, there's going to be a patch that's going to come in waves, which is going to be about 11 p.m. EST. So depending on where you are in the world, you want to do some calculations here. Let's take a look at Black Bolt's uniform. So they bumped up his damage reduction from 15% to 25%. That is pretty good. I personally was aiming for along the lines of 40%. That would be nice, but 25% is okay. Now, as for his tier 3 skill, they actually made some changes here. Previously, it had stun, silence, decrease all speed, and it had a little bit of defense down on it. They removed all of that, and they also nerfed the damage increase that he got from 35% to 33%. Take a look at what I'm talking about here briefly. You can see Fury of the Midnight King has been altered. Even the penetration that he has lasts for less time. Before it was 9 seconds, now it's 7 seconds. Maybe what's happening here is he's going to be able to get to his tier 3 faster. So that's why they nerfed some of the buffs that he got from his tier 3. He's also losing the ignore dodge. He had 45% ignore dodge here for 5 seconds. Maybe they put it somewhere else. We'll have to wait and see. So it says Kingly Might, his leadership is staying exactly the same. It would have been nice if it went up to 70%, but they can't always increase these leaderships every single time these guys get a uniform, especially if their primary use isn't necessarily as a leader. 65% is a good place to be. However, they did bump up his chain hit damage from 25% to 30%. I think 30% is where you kind of start seeing diminishing returns. Anything after that, so 30% is actually pretty good. Skill damage and bonus damage, 50 and 45 is actually pretty good, so shout out to them for that. It was actually at 35 and 30 before. Moving on, we have his 4-star passive. They actually buffed it, and they actually buffed it in a big way. I wanted this to be buffed. I wanted it to be kept, and they kept it plus buffed it. So shout out to them for that. So right here, he removes all debuffs from himself when he's debuffed, which is the same thing as before. However, instead of only lasting for 5 seconds, it now lasts for 12 seconds. The cooldown is still the same. However, this is more in line with a debuff removal leadership. In addition to that, he targets the enemies that are using ignore targeting skills. Basically, he now has a passive ignore iframe skill. However, it's on a 5-second duration. So every 20 seconds for 5 seconds, Black Bolt will be able to ignore iframe. That's kind of cool, very unique. It's not on a skill, it's a longer time frame. However, him not having ignore dodge is kind of a bummer. Let's see if they put that on one of his other skills. So first skill now decreases recovery rate by 40% when hit. So literally every character they use in PvP, whenever they start healing, they're going to be healing for significantly less, because Black Bolt is going to be coming in and reducing their recovery rate by 40%. And these skills are on an 8-second cooldown, so every 4 seconds he's going to be spamming this, presumably on autoplay. Let's see what else we have here. So damage accumulation, unfortunately it's staying at 0.7. I wanted this to go up to 1%. I believe 1% is the meta right now, but maybe they buff the other skills significantly so that he doesn't need necessarily 1% damage accumulation. Still sad we don't see any ignore dodge in here. We have invincibility. He has a 33% damage proc for 1 second. So I guess some of the damage that he's losing off of the tier 3, they put on a skill here with a damage proc. I don't believe he had this proc before, so that's actually a pretty big deal. Now onto his 5th skill. Unfortunately, they didn't buff his healing. It's only 15%. I needed this to be buffed up to 30%. I don't know what Netmob was doing here. However, one thing they did do is they actually kept the stun and the silence, which he's losing from his tier 3, and they put it on the 5th skill here, which is more accessible for ABX and ABL. So that's actually pretty good. If you need silence and paralysis, they're going to be on the 5th skill now, as opposed to being on the tier 3, which you get pretty fast. It's on 15-second cooldown. They're keeping his attack buff, crit rate buff, damage immunity. That's pretty good. I think Black Bolt overall looks good on paper. However, him being one of the most expensive uniforms in the game with limited usage and limited time attached to him, it's going to be interesting to see if people decide to pick him up and how useful he becomes over the next year, because that's when his value is going to be at the highest. I also glanced over the fact that you can use the V-pad while using the 4th skill. So my guess is you're probably going to open with the 3 for the damage accumulation, then follow up with the 5 if you're using him with a rage, and then proc primarily on your 4th for 5 seconds while you have that 33% damage proc. He better be incredibly powerful for PvE with a lot of PvP viability. Otherwise, most people are going to skip over him. One correction I want to make to Black Bolt is, in my previous video, I did mention that he's an alien. I don't know what I was thinking. Of course, he's inhuman. Maybe I was off a perk. Anyways, moving on, we have Morgan Le Fay. And Morgan Le Fay is pretty much making it known that she's going to be a support character right away. And support characters hold their value longer than regular DPS. So if you don't plan to buy her, this is what you're going to be missing out on. This is going to be very beneficial for ABX and ABL. Applies to universal types. Increase all basic attack by 35%. Increase basic damage dealt to boss type by 35% when debuffed to universal types. Remove all debuffs for 10 seconds with the 18-second cooldown. So we have PvE usage and PvP usage, which makes it so that under no conditions can anybody say Morgan Le Fay is an easy skip. Sure, you can say she's a skip because I have other characters that can do something similar to what she does, but there's no one that's going to offer you a buff to universal type specifically and then also give you that debuff removal for PvP at the same time. So I gotta pick it up, honestly. I think it's amazing what they did here. They found a way to make her unique, different, and also give her long-term value. Moving on, we have her tier 2 passive, which is now called Witch's Curse, as opposed to Transcendence, and they changed it from buffing her summons, because like I said in my previous videos, we're done with summons. We're not going back to that meta. And Netmarble acknowledged that by giving her chain hit damage, increased skill damage and bonus damage, and damage reduction, which is a pretty big deal. They also kept their revive passive, which is dope. It means you're going to be using her in PvP, okay? Even if she's not your primary DPS, it means you can use a damage buffing leadership and then have debuff removal on the back burner. Moving on, first skill is bleed, second skill is fear, third skill is paralysis with a 90% damage proc for 6 seconds. Fourth skill is a 20% recovery plus an all attack buff for 6 seconds. 6 seconds is not long enough. I think they should have been 8 seconds, but it's fine. We also have damage accumulation. She doesn't have penetration anywhere in her kit, which is unfortunate, but I think you could still use her in PvP because of the revive if you just make her tanky enough to survive, I guess. Or if you want to give her a CTP of destruction, you could kind of build her like Hela, where you give her strike proc, use her in PvE, use her as a buff to your universal characters, because you get the attack regardless is going to apply to your universals, and then you have the debuff removal. Obviously the boss types are going to be any boss in PvE content, so I think she adds PvP value, man. I really think so. You can definitely use her to stall because of the revive and stuff. So we have stun and silence. Again, the silence is a big thing for ABX and ABL. Oh, penetration is on her tier 3. What's the likelihood of you getting off her tier 3 in PvP? Not that likely. Tier 3 looks cool though. Could have been a bit flashier. Now we have Black Bow's tier 4. When the striker skill is used, increase all basic attacks by 30% for 10 seconds and increase the final damage dealt by 50%. So this is 1/4 of what Hulk gets. Hulk got 200%. I don't know if after they nerf him, it's going to be down to 100%, or if the numbers behind the scenes is what they're going to nerf and they're going to keep it at 200% right here. So we'll have to wait and see what this 50% damage buff look like and how far this 30% attack buff scales, because obviously this is not the final number. All right, so I came back to see how Hulk's tier 4 striker skill was listed and see if it was listed at 50%, and then when he leveled up, it goes up to 200%. It was actually listed at 200%, which means what we see with Black Bolt might actually be what we're gonna get. It might actually just tap out at 50%, and it'll be interesting to see if 50% increased final damage plus 30%, if this goes any higher, that'll be cool, is enough for people to consider buying him. Moving on, we have Black Bolt's artifact. Netmarble pulled a grimy one on us by putting his ignore dodge on his artifact. I don't like this at all. They took away something that the character had natively on his tier 3. Granted, it didn't last for that long and you had to work up to it, and granted, with him getting level 80 in tier 4, you don't need ignore dodge as much anymore if you're fighting enemies that are below you. But the more tier 4 characters we get, if he's gonna be a force in PvP, he's gonna need that ignore dodge. But I guess in PvP, what's the likelihood of a character getting off their tier 3 skill? Not that likely if they don't have an undead artifact or insane survivability. So I get it, we're not really missing out on too much, but it's kind of grimy that they put it on his artifact. That's just what I'm gonna say. But we get 25% ignore dodge and 20% attack. Morgan Le Fay's artifact actually increases the damage dealt to enemies with 50% HP or below by 25%, which is decent. It's not anything you need per se. Another big change that's coming here, the skill usage order of GORR in autoplay has been changed. These guys are watching the videos and making the changes that we need. They understand that GORR is playing like trash on autoplay, so they're making the change to how he functions in autoplay, and I'm interested to see how that's going to drastically improve the character's value. Now, as for the Halloween token shop, these are some of the stuff that you can get in here. So we have Morgan Le Fay's uniform. You can purchase that one time. We have the random box. As you can see in here, you have a chance of getting 4-star and 5-star artifacts, which is a pretty big deal. We have 11 different types of CTPs in here, just regular CTPs. We have 14 premium cards in here. Add all the chances up, you could try up to 200 times. You might not get one of these. but it's up to you if that's something you want to do. We got Odin's in here. They pretty much put everything that you could want in here, but they also put some junk in here, so expect to get more junk than anything. I'm surprised they put the Book of Vishanti in here. Now, as for what you want to purchase, if you plan to get Morgan Le Fay's uniform, you can buy this twice, and you're going to spend 20 bucks, and then log in for 7 days. You'll get the additional 10 tokens for Morgan Le Fay's uniform. You'll just have to wait a week to do it. Or you could buy this when the update drops and you get enough tokens. Most people are going to do this because they want to play with Morgan Le Fay day one. They don't want to wait the 7 days. But if you're on a budget and you plan to pick up Morgan Le Fay's uniform, this is the best way to go about it. Okay, you spend 20 bucks and then you'll be able to get 20 tokens with the 10 that they're going to give you for free. If you're free to play, I'm sorry to tell you, there's going to be no other way for you to get Morgan Le Fay's uniform. Everything else here you can kind of just skip over. Let's see what else they got. All right, so we got a premium tier 3 package here. You can buy this if you want, but this is more so for the big spenders and the people who have a lot of characters to catch up on. We got a tier 4 bundle if you're missing books or if you want to unlock a second potential for Black Bolt right away, plus get some tokens for Morgan Le Fay. We got a hero package where they're actually selling Black Bolt and Morgan Le Fay for 1500 crystals. This is pure doo-doo, so definitely don't buy it. They also have a silence relay that give you 1 token for every dollar that you spend. The stuff in here is pretty decent if you have a lot of characters to work on, but for me personally, I'm gonna skip over this because I have all the characters in the game already. We also have Black Boat's Halloween chests. These I'm gonna skip over personally. I don't know about you guys, but I don't think this has much value for me. So anyways, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna wrap the video up here. Leave me your thoughts in the comments. How do you feel about Black Bolt, Morgan Le Fay, and some of the changes that are coming in this update?